Hi, I'm Gina Hyena, and this is Gina Got Friends. So, this is a podcast dedicated to talking about people that are not working the usual 9 to 5. They've gone out after a passion that usually is kind of hard to go against the grind. So, I like having guests on that are doing different stuff with their life, chasing their passion, whatever the fuck, in hopes that it'll get somebody going. Just go after it, whatever the fuck it is you think you're doing. If you want to be a comic book artist, whatever the fuck. I have with me John Poppie. He is in town for a weight cut not for himself, but he is a chef. He has prep and perform nutrition. He's an MMA fighter himself, and he's been on The Ultimate Fighter. I don't know what season, but here he is.
Season 19, I think. Technically, I wasn't on it, but we're not going to. That's besides the point.
Okay, cool. Season 19, but you weren't really on.
I tried out for it. I lost the elimination fight. It's on YouTube.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you made time to do this because I know you're currently on a tight schedule this week because you have Rolando Ramirez III.
It's Romero.
Romero.
Yes.
Rolando Romero III.
Yes.
Also known as Rolly, fighting this weekend.
He's fighting Gervonta Davis at the Barclay Center on Saturday.
Okay, so tell me a little bit more about this fight.
To be honest, Rolly and him apparently have some beef, and they had the fight scheduled, I think in September for September 28th, and then some shit came up. So they canceled it, rescheduled it. Both of them are power punchers. Tank has quite a few knockouts on his record. He's, I believe, a 4-time world champion in different weight classes, and Rolly's 14-0. I think 12 knockouts. This will be the biggest fight to date for him, but he's prepared. He's very disciplined. He's professional. He treats it like it's a real, you could say a 9 to 5, but it's a 9 to 5 he actually likes.
Yeah.
He cares about. So it's fun to work with him. He has a good personality. His fucking press conferences are insane, and his outfits are.
What's been your favorite outfit so far?
Well, his last fight, he dressed in I think it was like a Charizard color from Pokemon, like the red, like the holographic one. I'd have to double check on that, but it was very it was red and gold. That, and then this fight, he is has a pink themed, I guess, fight in general. His boots are Prince themed, not pink. Sorry. His boots are Prince themed. His track suits are gray and purple Prince colors. He's probably walking out to Prince. I had no clue, but the kid likes Prince. So
I absolutely love that. I fuck with that super heavy.
That's what we listened to while we were when we were working together the other day, and that's just him. He's himself. That's one of the reasons I really like him is he's Rolly.
He's just genuine.
He lives the way he wants and doesn't really care what people think.
Is this your first fight with him, working with him?
This is our 4th fight together. We started working together in 2018, I think. No, 2020. It's not 2020 anymore.
Yeah.
We've had 3 fights together. First one was 2020, and then he had 2 more. We have a good relationship. We like each other. We get along pretty well. And I like the kid because he's young in the sport. He only has 14 fights, but he treats it like it's it's not a sport. It's a profession to him, in and out of the ring. So
you're fighting, and then you're training right now, and then you also help fighters prepare.
Yeah.
On the nutrition side.
Yes.
When did you start doing that?
Technically, when I was in college, I helped out one of my teammates named Mike Schmitz, and then it kind of continued from there. Also, 2015, I moved to South Carolina, and I met some people down there, and I helped a couple of them out, and then in 2000... I'm bad with dates.
That's fine. No one's taking notes.
2000-something, I took a certification course with George Lockhart and Dan Leith in Las Vegas, and I kind of got into weight cutting like that, as far as like the hands-on part of it, and then nutrition has always been, I guess, an interest of mine.
Okay.
And then I took some courses in college, took some other courses outside of college, and now we're here.
Yeah. Okay. So for how much weight is he cutting?
Not a lot.
Not a lot. Okay. So for a fighter, like in general, so say if I was fighting.
Okay, who were you fighting though?
Okay. Let's pretend Lex Friedman had a girlfriend. And she was from Russia. So probably a good fighter, or Ukraine, like somewhere from over there.
Is this a nice person?
No, we have to make sure that she's not nice,
Okay,
because I wouldn't want to
hitting-
fight a nice person.
She's abusing Lex.
Yeah, she's not
letting him
not
go to jiu-jitsu.
respecting him enough.
Not letting him go to jiu-jitsu or play guitar.
Yeah, exactly. So now Eastern Europe, is that more striking, jiu-jitsu, both?
They have good boxing. They have good wrestling.
They're just disciplined people.
Yeah, they have. I'd say wrestling and boxing is fairly good. But yeah, wrestling. Let's go with wrestling.
Okay, so this Eastern European fighter who's a bitch, who's just not appreciating Lex Friedman. I'm fighting her.
Lex Friedman, Gina Hyena, wants to appreciate you. She wants to do your laundry
Absolutely, I do.
and listen to your poetry.
How nice would that be?
Probably nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
That's like so nice
his
to think of
voice.
someone. Yeah, it's calming, and I'm a psycho, so that would be nice.
Which will make
So
good Italian food, lasagna.
exactly, I'm so good at lasagna. I cooked lasagna for a bunch of comedians last Christmas. It's a bunch of misfit toys. That's always my go-to, is cooking lasagna for people. So, given that, I'm obviously gonna be overweight for the fight.
Well, you'd be underweight because this is like.
I'm
some
never
gigantic,
underweight.
Russian woman, you're talking 1980s Russian woman on steroids with a fucking.
So this is like Rocky 3.
Yeah, this is Rocky 3.
Yeah. So I need to lose.
10,000 pounds.
Let's say I need to lose 25. Is that something like typical?
I don't know how much you weigh right now, so it kind of depends.
Yeah. Okay. So I definitely need to lose 25 for the fight.
So, are you dieting half of it off? Or are you cutting? Is this a water cut?
You tell me.
So-
So if I was, let's just go from the beginning.
Okay.
I'm fighting. I need to cut 25 pounds. We have, how typical is it? Like, when do you start nutrition with a client?
Ideally, like 8 weeks, or they're on it all year round because they're professional fighters and
Yes.
they take everything seriously and they follow some type of plan 80% of the time out of camp and 90% of the time in camp.
Okay, yeah. So I'm doing everything I need to be doing as a professional fighter,
So,
but
like,
I
8
need to
weeks
drop
out,
25.
And you're like at 10% body fat or something too? Mm-hmm. Okay. And you're 185 pounds. That's
Yes.
the weight you fight at. And you're also 6 feet tall. And you're
Yes.
200. And you walk around at 210. You probably want to diet down to like between 200 and 205
Okay.
slowly. And then do a water cut from there.
So tell people, because nobody knows what you're talking about right now. So walk us
part?
through the last like 3 weeks of
So the
working with a
last-
fighter.
Let's just do the last 10 days.
Okay.
The last 10 days are probably the most interesting part. Last 10 days, they'll continue sodium carbs and they'll slowly increase their water. Usually by Saturday, I like them at around 2 gallons, depending on their weight. And then Sunday, Monday, normal days, as far as eating, as long as their weight's good. And then Tuesday, pull sodium and carbs.
So pulling sodium and
That means
carbs.
removing it from any food you eat. So not consuming any in food or liquids.
Okay. So what kind of meals is that person eating?
Sodium-free meals, like you could do steak if you wanted to. You just cook it without sodium or salt.
Well, I'm not cooking. You are.
Yeah, I'm cooking. So I could make you like a ribeye with, I did a blueberry mushroom sauce for a fighter.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
What's in that?
Shiitake mushrooms, blueberries, garlic, rosemary, shallots, and a little bit of white wine vinegar.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. So in your stories for your like prep and perform on Instagram, everything looks good. is the thing.
Filters. It's like the fit chicks. I just run shit through filters and
Yeah.
little Photoshop.
You're really selling yourself right now. You're like, it's
that's-
all fake. Actually, it's dog shit.
Let's be real. How many people actually put photos on Instagram that aren't through filters?
Of course they are. Of course they are. But I mean, like, the food you make actually sounds like it has flavor. It's not like
Yeah, it is.
doing a cut and you're doing like steamed veggies and steamed chicken. Like, you're doing actual things with flavor.
Steamed chicken. I mean, you could make good steamed chicken though.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm trying to like sell you and you're just
Yeah,
being
well,
condescending.
That's
Like,
fine. This is who I am though.
Yeah.
Can I drink those?
Drink what? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So you're in town.
Okay, so food wise, yeah,
Yeah.
back to what you're saying. But yeah, my food looks good because it tastes good because I give a fuck what I put into it. Like, I care about my food. I know it sounds silly and I'm not too much woo woo,
Yeah. No, I know you're obviously not a woo woo guy.
as you can tell. But I do believe that if like the food's made by someone who cares about it, the whole energy transfer thing and like the quality of the food and how they enjoy it and taste it and the satisfaction they get out of it goes up because someone actually put effort into it. Like, your mom's food is probably like, if you had I don't know if you had a good relationship with your mom, maybe you didn't and her food was still bomb.
Yeah.
Like, she hit you,
But she cared about the
cared
food.
about the food, or just feeding you so she could abuse you more. I think that matters. That's why, like, fast food, like, technically a lot of it is like food products.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
there's, like, no care that goes into it.
Not at all. Not at all.
So, that being said, when the food's actually made by someone who cares, like, that gets given to that person. That's about as much woo as I go.
Yeah. What's your first memory with that?
With
Like,
what?
what's like the first meal that you had that you're like, this is somebody gave this to me and they cared about when they were making it?
I don't know.
Well, how did you get into this? I guess
Like
I'm
the
saying.
woo-woo thing, I've
Yeah.
probably read about it.
Okay.
And, like, it makes sense because if you just like listen to people who, like, when you actually hand someone a plate of food and they eat it versus like you give them something that's
Oh no, I believe in it.
a frozen, not even a frozen pizza, a very non-handmade pizza. Like Domino's versus some fucking street corner where, you know, it's $1.
Yeah.
But it's still better than Domino's because someone actually made it. That person may not care a ton about it because they're working for a wage, but they have still, most people who cook, even if it's for not a lot of money, give
Yeah.
a fuck about what they're doing.
Absolutely. No, I agree with it. Yeah, all the energy transfer stuff, I'm weird about that too. Like, I like grass-fed, grass-finished beef. Like, I don't like the idea of like a constricted animal.
That's not scientific though.
Yeah. There's people that don't believe in that though.
Well, it's like I'm into the humanely raising animals things. It makes more sense.
Yeah.
And I've seen how they don't raise animals humanely.
Yeah, and it's really
Like,
disturbing.
Factory farms are just gigantic farms. So if we go back, it'd be like 60 years at this point to smaller farms that were scattered the Midwest and the rest of this fucking country that had smaller farms. You know, you can kill the animal, butcher shops, more locally, get it from as close to home as possible versus wherever. But scientifically, grass-fed isn't that much different than...
No, I'm talking about the energy thing.
Yeah,
the literal woo-woo thing that you just said.
I mean, that is, but I don't know about that
Yeah.
kind of woo-woo.
No, I'm saying that's what I believe because when I think of it, I think of like, say you were a cannibal. You wouldn't want to eat a person that's been in the hospital their whole life. Like, you wouldn't want to eat somebody that's been on top of other people or even somebody that lived in New York City. You'd probably want somebody who's
Like
been
an
out in the
Amish.
sun. Yeah, you'd probably want to eat an Amish
Maybe
person.
like a 20-year-old Amish person.
Yeah, that would probably taste better than a person that's been living in New York City their whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my woo-woo.
Okay, no, that's actually like a legitimate you are. It's you are what you eat.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Okay, yeah, okay, we can go with that much woo-woo.
Okay, cool. We found our
You wanna
level.
talk about astrology?
We found our baseline woo-woo. Okay, no, I was just asking you about like when you're thinking of like food that somebody created, because I definitely know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know, I'm just trying to get to what made you start working with the prepping. It sounds like you are passionate about.
Yeah, I like food.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
Hey.
food, like people like look at, I don't know, this is my thoughts. I like food and science. I like science and art. Let's go back to that. So cooking is science, especially baking, but even like cooking on a stovetop is less precise science, but science is going on to
Absolutely.
make the flavor of the food. So and then I like art too, and I'm terrible at like actual art. Like I can't do it
Yeah.
unless it's maybe like that dude who threw paint at the wall.
Yeah, I hear
Jackson
you.
Pollock.
Yeah.
That dude.
Yeah.
Or like, left. I don't know. Maybe my art would be good today. But food is also art. I mean, plating is a big portion of it, which I fucking hate. But like making sure it's cooked properly and like well is also like, and then plating it this best as my bad artistic skills is art. But like it's science and it's art, so I like the two together.
Yeah, you're kind of like putting things together and like making.
But yeah.
And then fighting. When did you start fighting?
When I was 18, I started getting into it. I wrestled my whole life, college wrestling. One of my wrestling coaches fought, so I just trained with him. We continued to train after I graduated, and I did Tough Man when I was like fucking 19, which is like fucking gay ass boxing with shitty ass gloves. Like you pay $50 and you get to beat the shit out of some dude you probably beat up at the bar for free, but it's $1,000 if you
What's
win
it
cash.
called?
Tough Man. The
Tough Man?
Yeah. It's legit. Like you, weigh-ins were at a bar. You just pay the cash, whatever you want. You don't have to have any type of. I think they do a small medical check, but it's probably just to see if you're alive. Like put
Gotcha.
a mirror in front of your face and okay, he's breathing. And then the next
And they're
night,
like, have at it.
that's what it is. And then the next night, it's like two weight divisions, like small and big. And the next night, you put on these shitty ass boxing gloves that when you would punch someone in the head, you could feel your fist against it. It was terrible. Basically, like probably like 9-round gloves, like that quality. Something I don't know. Probably not something you can buy Venom at Walmart right now, so probably not even that bad.
How old were you when you did this?
19. The first time I did it, I was 18. The second time I did it, I was 19. The first time I lost. Second time I won. I think I started fighting MMA shortly after that.
Was it UFC that got you into it?
No, my coach who trained, I got into it that way, and then I was like, this is the next. Like, I wanted to wrestle in college. I pretty much went to school
To wrestle?
to wrestle. If you do that, anyone out there, this is if you want to be inspired and do your own bullshit and not be a 9-to-5er. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just like if you don't want to do it, take an easy fucking major. Just make sure you leave with a degree, and then just get really good at wrestling and go to not necessarily an easy school, an academically easy school if it has good wrestling. That's
Gotcha.
I'm not a career counselor, but
You're like, but I have a few ideas.
but if like you have aspirations of like even fighting, going to college and wrestling is a really good thing, and you'll get a lot out of it. If let's say that's the route you want to go, or even jiu-jitsu, because you can simultaneously do both. And I don't know what the new fucking laws they made with the NC2A about sponsorships for athletes, but definitely like you probably could turn pro in college. That means you can make money playing two sports. You can be a wrestler and wrestler and be a fighter, and then you can be active all year round, and your jiu-jitsu will make your wrestling better, your wrestling will make your jiu-jitsu better, your striking will make both better, it'll make your footwork better. But take easy classes if you want to focus on wrestling.
Gotcha.
I did not do that.
No. What did you do?
Failed a lot. I took hard classes because I wanted to learn things, and I failed a lot of them or got really bad grades because I also spent more time wrestling or doing things that involved or were towards wrestling.
Where'd you go to school?
La Crosse in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Where it's a heavy sports science college.
Gotcha. Is that what you went for?
Yeah, kind of. I went for psychology, and I had my minor was called a program optional, which was 18 credits of any 300 to 400 level classes I wanted in any college.
That's awesome.
Campus, which is super cool. So I just took shit I liked, and most of it was fitness and nutrition.
Gotcha.
And I knew most of the professors in the exercise, sports, science, so I would just get overrides into the higher level classes.
Nice. What was your favorite class?
Theory of the mind
Interesting.
and stats.
All right.
Stats and logic.
Gotcha. What was theory of the mind about?
Just talked about like philosophers' ideas of what consciousness is.
Ooh.
Which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Like they all like apply in certain ways, and to be honest, it was a difficult class, and it was a long time ago, so I'm not gonna be able to talk about like
Oh no, that's fine. Don't worry about
details of it.
Yeah.
But like having that class, and then I'd like it gave like different perspectives of how people think that humans develop thoughts.
Interesting.
Like,
I wish more people would take a course like that now.
It was a fun, like, our professor was absolutely insane. I wouldn't call him insane. He was just a wacky, but that kind of goes with like the course.
Yeah.
And I think he was also my logic professor too. So he was cool to see. He was just a wacky old man, but he was really good for that class in logic. But yeah, theory of the mind. It's just basically like we talked about, because there was a lot of discussion and reading about how people think and how thoughts are developed.
That's interesting. Like I said, I wish more people would, consider those things, because I think a lot of, I don't know, everybody comes from things from different experiences, and people's minds literally work differently.
Well, like it was like back to like the philosophers like Descartes and shit, like
yeah.
that.
Oh no, I'm just having a conversation with you. Yes.
Conversation with
yeah, you're acting like I'm looking for a right answer, and I'm like,
no,
we're just having a conversation.
I thought you were interviewing me. See the light.
We're having a conversation. I know you're out of it.
On the table that you guys can't see.
Yeah, I was like, I'm over here. You're like up here. Like, no, we're just having a conversation. No, like I was saying. So back to conversation wise.
Tell the audience why you drink out of a cup.
Oh, because that's a good example. I drink out of a cup because my grandfather told me that only ladies drink out of cups. They don't drink out of bottles or cans.
Do ladies drink beer?
Usually no, but if they do, it should be out of a can or out of a cup. So that's it. And it's funny because like internally, when I see girls drinking cans of beer or bottles of beer, I'm always like, how are they married? Like it's a very like internalized thing for me, which is, yeah. And like you said, it's just, that's my experience of what I grew up with. I don't judge them, but it's like the first thing is like, it's like off-putting
ladies.
To me. It just throws me off for a second. Yeah. My grandfather wouldn't say they were. But
what do you call them, harlots?
No, I don't think he ever used the word harlot. I'm trying to think of
ridiculous word he used.
Nothing I could say on a podcast. I will say though, listen.
What is this like filtered by the FCC?
What are you talking about? Nothing that I want to say on my podcast. Is that a better answer for you?
No, I want to know what the fuck he said.
No, I will say he did have a cat named Mookie, which sounds like a racist name.
Is it a black cat?
Yeah. And it just sounds like something racist. I don't think it is, but it sounds like it.
Like how you're Italian, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
How Italian are you?
I'm third generation. So I'm like, my grandfather spoke Italian growing up at home, had to learn English in school, and it was like made fun of for doing so.
An Italian word?
I'm sorry?
Is Mookie an Italian?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure where it came from.
Maybe it's that.
Yeah, I don't know. It might have been for that baseball player too. Wasn't there a baseball player named like Mookie Thompson or something? Or did I create my own memory?
I think you created your own memory.
I do that sometimes.
Mookie the black cat.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's very, very Italian. But that's why I drink out of a cup.
Okay.
Thank you for asking. Mm-hmm. No, it's for me, like, I don't know. I'm getting all annoyed lately about the fact that like people do not take into consideration, because you brought up the theory of the mind, how like, consciousness can be different for different people. There's different ways that it could have come about. People see things literally through different lenses. I remember doing a test at, it was like a theory of personality class. And they showed you like a picture, and it was trees, and it was black and white lines. And it said, how many owls are in this picture? And it wasn't like, find them. It was just like, it was like the way the lines were.
College students.
Yeah, it wasn't, yeah, we weren't looking through a highlights magazine. But there were certain people that were like 13. And there's some that were just like 9. And there's certain numbers where it's just like their perception is totally different.
It's bizarre.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Very bizarre because it's not like interpret what this person is saying.
Yeah, it's literally what they're
just
seeing.
Looking at it now.
Yeah.
And it's not, and again, it's not a landscape.
No.
It's a concrete, like unchanging picture.
Like lines through it.
Black
yeah.
and white?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really.
Isn't that interesting?
That's fucking bizarre.
And there were certain numbers. There was 4 groups. It wasn't like a range of numbers. It was like there was 4 groups. It was like some people saw 19, some people saw none. Yeah, and then we just separated into the groups.
How many owls did you see?
I think I saw like 9 when there was like some people saw 13 and I was like, how did I miss an owl?
Do you remember the groups and why they like?
So it was just the way you saw things. It was just a perception thing.
It makes no sense. Like, what is it?
Well, it does.
Well, no, it doesn't. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. But was that because it's gone?
Yeah. No, it's just it was literal perception. And that's why there's certain like pictures you can look at where it's like, what do you see first
like
type of thing?
Dress bullshit.
No, but I know what you're talking about. The dress, the blue and what is it? White and gold or blue and black. No, or it's like a landscape and it's like, do you see the buildings first or the mountains first?
Okay.
Like
yeah,
that type of thing. But it's just, an exercise in perception and thinking about how people literally see things differently. Or how, like we were talking about before, like I'm more feely minded, where some people are more technical minded.
Yeah.
Like somebody like Elon Musk thinks in a completely different way.
He's like pretty feely though, because he's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like-
yeah. There's a skill there.
Do you know who Richard Feynman is?
No, who's Richard?
You should know who Richard Feynman is. He's a physicist from the Manhattan Project, but he's, super genius, like apparently one of the smartest human beings, one of those fuckers.
Yeah.
But he's also very charismatic. Apparently, you could fact check me on this, everyone. I think he was a womanizer. And he played the bongos, and he was like made jokes. He made jokes all the time. Mm-hmm. Like his writings I find them funny.
Okay.
But Elon Musk they're like similar in that way, as they're both very intelligent, but they're also very humorous.
Yeah, it's
Which
interesting.
Is like there's not very many people in history that are both really, really smart and funny.
Yeah.
Like there's levels of intelligence, but like their level of intelligence it's not like funny and intelligent. Yeah, just that.
Yeah, they have like a charisma about them as well.
And they're like the technical intelligence. Like you can be, I guess you could say, like intelligence is different shit, like different skill sets too, like aptitudes, art and whatnot. And you could be like, I guess you could say Dave Chappelle's had intelligence for humor, like naturally.
Yeah.
Like because he's funny, just right off the go. It's a skill too. You can make it better, but technical intelligence and humor are like.
Yeah, they seem like they're on opposite spectrums. It's very interesting. That's why I remember my brother is actually very technically minded. He went to an engineering school.
Is he funny?
Yeah. That's the thing is he has, and some of his friends, it's a certain sense of humor where it's like they're so smart that they can figure out like what would be like almost like the most charismatic. It's a little dry. It's very intelligent.
The best kind of fun.
Yeah, it's so good.
You can have a conversation with someone. You could both be laughing, and the next person in the conversation is like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, exactly.
Or it's yeah.
It's such a refined sense of humor. It's my favorite too.
Yeah, no, that's the best. It's the worst though, because not everyone thinks it's that funny when you're making jokes, and they're like, "Why are you saying this to you?"
It is wild how many people have lost their sense of humor, or they just are waiting to be upset. I can't tell which one it is.
Maybe it's both. Because I don't know, let's go with this. Maybe it's both because they don't have enough attention and they're not funny and they're stressed out. Like they don't have the time to have a sense of humor.
Yeah, which is something I'd like to say that I don't complete, because I'm sure there's times I'm stressed where I'd be like, shut the fuck up if somebody was trying to be funny. But most things, my reaction to, like if something's going completely wrong, like everything went sideways, I laugh. Like that's where I go. Because I think it's important to take things seriously, but also like not Like, you can't bind yourself to everything going perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, because you're gonna fucking be disappointed.
Yeah, and it's just, there's certain things, like I remember even in surgery, and some of the surgeons also had this mindset where, it's the fourth surgery of the day, because I used to work in spinal cord surgeries, and everything's been pushed back. And now we have this patient that we're worried about going under anesthesia, and it's Friday, and it's 6 p.m. now. And of course, when they're trying to connect, like they'd have a catheter connector for 2 points, whatever, they're trying to connect a catheter, and the piece isn't working. And it's just like, we don't have a second piece. And it's like, of course it would go like that. Of course today, the way things are going, this is the way things would go. Well, then what you have to do is you have to either get somebody else in the room, you have to have somebody waiting while somebody delivers the other piece. But it's typically like everything went wrong. Like everything went wrong. We didn't think we were going to need this connector piece, so we had one. And then it broke. And it's just, for me and the surgeon, I remember in a situation like this, it was just like, of course that happened, and then it's just like, you have to bullshit with each other, and then the situation is going to get resolved.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to know at the end of the day. It has to. And it's one of those dire situations that it's like, what are you going to do? Are you going to sit there and scream and be mad at each other in the room, or are you going to find the other emotion in it?
There's like an intercom thingy.
What? You're taking the wrong point of this conversation.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. Like, what was the intercom thingy? Go ahead.
Just keep going. I understand exactly what you're saying. It's like, instead of screaming and yelling, you can just like ask the intercom people, can you guys bring a beer in here?
Oh.
I need to chill out.
I thought you were asking like the technicality.
No.
Of the OR. I thought you were going to be like, like you're trying to solve the problem.
No. Absolutely not.
I was like, this has already happened, John.
Cut, restart.
Right?
Reschedule for tomorrow.
Let's all get drunk in the OR.
Why not?
God.
If they have do they use gas still?
I think some people do.
Pull it off
Oh my God. It is pretty wild. I mean, have you heard about Dr. Death?
Yeah, actually, I was reading about him this morning while I was waiting. That's fucking wacky.
Crazy.
He should get killed.
He was at one of the Baylor hospitals in probably Dallas or around that area, which is like that group of hospitals. Like, I've worked in them.
So you sold him?
I didn't sell him. I never met him, but I was like, I definitely know people that know him because all the surgeons and he's a neurosurgeon, know each other. Like the whole decapitated his friend thing. Did you read that?
No, I read through that he fucking did a fuckload of drugs and then would come into work the next day, like basically hungover and not able to use his brain.
Yeah.
And then operate and kill people.
Yeah.
To the decapitating the friend part.
So yeah, medically decapitating. So what I will explain to you what medical decapitation is. So when
his friend?
Yeah, it was somebody he knew from college or that he went to med school with. So you have, like the discs between your spinal cord. So you can remove them, you can do laminectomies, or, you can either put a fusion in there. So he removed so many discs that the person's head was just like, couldn't hold itself up.
You didn't think that you should put something back in?
I guess he was fucked up.
I know, but you take something out.
You got to put something back in. Yeah, you just did so many of them.
Thought, when you're trying to make things level, you put things underneath.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, no, you would think that, but if you're high on fucking drugs.
He killed that guy?
Yeah. Because you got nothing. I think that's the story. Okay. I know it was a medical decapitation. Yeah.
Because that's wild.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
I get it.
Terrifying. Spinal cord surgery is gross anyways. The idea of just ugh.
I want to know how he went from let's take them all out, how it started.
To keep going, to take too many. Yeah, it was probably risky in the beginning, but usually there's some surgeons, or anybody with power that just starts thinking that they know more than anything. Yeah. That they're like, I'm the guy to do it.
Surgeons are like maniacs. They just want to cut shit up, which hopefully they're good at it. But I know more surgeons who happen to also be egomaniacs.
Yeah, most of them are.
And I've met some that aren't, that are great doctors, and I've had one work on me, but for the most part, if you say, they'll cut you open as soon as possible.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They like look at you like a car.
Yeah, I've met a surgeon whose wife had some spinal issues and she's under the age of 40, so she got a fusion.
Yeah. They wanted me to get a fusion in my neck, and I said absolutely not.
What'd you do?
I just got the steroid injections in my neck. I got radio frequency, so they burned out the nerves. But I didn't get a fusion because your spine is like you want it to be, you know, like fluid and movie. And then the more pressure you get one fusion, the rest of it is going to stop being as lax. And then as soon as you start, it's just like a cascade of like, you just keep getting back surgeries.
So, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, because you start making the spine less flexible, and then usually you slip another disc or something else happens.
Can't operate correctly.
Well, no, you can't operate correctly.
The bones don't move, so it's compensating.
It's not as fluid as it. Yeah.
So what about like the new shit where they're like putting fake discs in
It's similar. They're having less issues down. Like it's not as much time in between. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they do those fusions. They put the new discs in. They have this thing that flexes between the two of them. There's so many different things you can do with spine, which I wish I didn't know all of them. But
that's cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to see. But there were some. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm a very I get feely and empathetic and shit. And so
touch the patients.
No, I would have to be the person that talked to them before and after the surgery, and we also did pumps. So
like insulin pumps?
Yeah, so they're similar to an insulin pump, but they're pain medication. So it's like a hockey puck inside of you in the abdomen, and then you have a catheter in your spine internally. So ooh. Yeah, wild. Wild. So it's usually to get people off of oral medication. So you could get them down from like 300 milligrams a day to like 3 milligrams because you're going intrathecally, it's called. And they want to get them to stop taking oral. So now it's just direct.
Can you do other things like that recreationally?
In the pump? Yeah. We would have crazy patients that would try to withdraw the drug from their pump and inject it into themselves anyways, which you're like, that's what you're doing.
Maybe it's like the whole...
the systemic effect.
The act of doing it.
Yeah, I don't know. But what made me get burnt out is that same pump, you can put a drug called baclofen in, and it relaxes the body. So when you see people bound in wheelchairs, like their muscles are having severe spasticity, it was a drug against that, and sometimes children need it. So you would have a child that has severe spasticity. They would be like pull their spine so much that they would have scoliosis, and they would need rods and screws from their sacrum to T2. So all the way up. So that surgery takes about like 9 to 12 hours. And then you're just seeing like a 6-year-old getting like this huge surgery. So it fucked me up. Like I had a really hard time with it because I just felt so bad. Like being in the children's hospital is like the worst.
Yeah. I mean, they're kids. Adults are
not as innocent.
Not as innocent, I guess you could say. And yeah. Kids, and some of them are cute. So
it's interesting. Like the word adulterated like literally means to like ruin something. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, oh, the core of that is adult. Yeah. Like
that's never thought about that.
I know you made me take one hit of a pen and that's what I got. I'm like, oh,
the core of adultery
is adult.
And
you're talking about something sinister. Like
kids
yeah
are supposed to be innocent, and then we become adults. And
even like, and I just remember this for studying for the MCAT was like with the example word, and it's funny because you're talking about adultery, is I was thinking of the example sentence, which is he adulterated the plate of fries with ketchup, meaning like he ruined the fries with too much ketchup.
Hard fries, ketchup together.
Yeah, but you can literally just, or if you dumped like too much salt, you like adulterated your food, which was the example sentence, which I'm like, oh, they were really towing the line there, trying to like not use it in a Law and Order way. Yeah, exactly.
The what would it be? Who would commit adultery?
Harvey Weinstein?
Technically, like, are we doing biblical adultery?
Sure. Let's go. Adultery? We're doing biblical adultery.
Well, like, if you base it off the, like, okay, we go 10 Commandments.
Sure.
Adultery, I'm 99, I'm pretty sure that it would be being unfaithful to your spouse or your person.
Is adultery.
Yes. So
Yeah, I think you're right.
Weinstein is just being a predator.
Yeah.
Not an adulterer.
True.
If Harvey Weinstein was married, he would be an adulterer, unless his wife was in on it.
Or
then they would be predators.
If he had a bottle of ketchup and he put too much on a plate of fries.
He would be an adulterer.
Yes, absolutely. That's
salt.
So weird because that is like 100% my memory. Like I can see like the italic like example sentence, and I've never thought too much about it.
You're adulterating. You're ruining fries essentially.
Yeah,
so
you're adulterating them.
Yeah, is it just ruining something?
Yeah.
So do not commit adultery is do not ruin shit.
Yeah.
Specifically your relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, the fact that the key word is adult is tells you how much shittier we are than kids.
I gotta look into that word.
Yeah.
The history of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think looking into those things is so... I love looking at that shit. Like my mind will go like weird places. I'll start looking into whatever. Like I just go on a tangent. Like I've been doing carnivore, right? So...
Hey, Liver King, you got a liver zealot over here.
Liver zealot is what I need to look at.
You're primal.
Yes, I'm primal. So before...
You're a primal. Like you're a noun.
Oh, okay. All right. So as I was saying with the word thing, I do carnivore. Before my period, I was like, fuck it. I'm going to let myself have keto ice cream. And I wanted to find like the cleanest version of one I can. However, all of them had a sweetener called xylitol in it. Yeah. So the way my mind works is I was like, well, I want to see the molecular structure of xylitol. And so I looked it up.
I guess that's like looking up the history of a word.
Yeah. And I was like, well, for me, I was interested in like how it was synthesized, like, because I know I don't like stevia doesn't agree with me, like certain things don't agree with me. But what was interesting about xylitol to me was that it's achiral. So are you familiar with chirality?
I'm not this smart, everyone, but I will listen.
Okay.
I like learning things.
So how we were talking about like the core of words, how that can get like interesting when you're high. Chiral comes from the word hand for Greek. So it's because these two things are the same, but they're opposite of where my thumb is. So when you look at structures of molecules, most amino acids have the group on the left. So that's why when you say carnitine, you say L-carnitine. And by that, it's just, say you were looking at a molecule this way, and this was like going down the line of drawing it. Now you're looking at it this way, and the amino group would be to the left. So you're looking at something head on, and the amino group is the heaviest part. So that's on the left. So everything in the human body needs to have things come in that are left-handed amino acids for it to work.
Okay.
But that assumes that there's things that are right-handed amino acids somewhere else in the universe. What was interesting to me with xylitol is it was achiral, so that it didn't have left or right, because you know that the right-handed things can really fuck you up when you ingest them. So I was like, oh, but to get to the word thing, chiral comes from hand. That's why chirality is like the study of looking at things or amino acids that are the same but opposite, like made out of the same materials but opposite. You had a post about thalidomide, the pharmaceutical that pregnant women took for nausea.
Yeah.
And their kids got really fucked up. So their kids, like their arms didn't like
grow properly, and they're all fucked up,
and a big part of that was the right-handed. So when you were synthesizing thalidomide, if it was the chirality was to the right, then it would fuck up the kids really bad.
That's really, really interesting. Like, wow.
Isn't that strange?
Uh-huh.
Isn't that also strange that I know all?
No, that's really cool that you know all that. 'Cause you can like look things up and be like, oh, this is structured this way. It won't work well with a human being.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah, and it's just interesting to think of things that are made out of literally the same molecule. So I believe it's limonene and citrine are made out of the same molecules, but it's just the way they're placed. That one's like a lemon scent and one is an orange scent. So yeah, it's very strange, but they're the same exact
Was that
chemicals.
Can make shit like flavors and smells, or just
Yeah, like citrine and limonene is one.
That's incredible. That's so interesting.
But the word chiral comes from literally the Greek word for hand, because you're like, these things are made of the same thing, but they're opposite. And it's like the easiest way to describe what chirality is.
When are you going to start your science channel?
I know. I really need to.
She needs a co-host, Lex Friedman. How sick would that be?
I really need to, because you know what it is too? I took way too many school classes, and I loved everything that I studied, but I didn't want to do science full time. I love doing comedy. Like, I finally started doing comedy, but I'm like, all of that knowledge just needs to go somewhere.
An Italian Miss Frizzle.
Yeah.
Oh, I cannot wait. Like, because that was like, you explained it really, really well.
Thank you.
And it was easy to understand.
I appreciate that.
And you do it well. So you should spread your science knowledge. Don't
Thank
waste
you.
it.
What else can I tell you about?
You be a tutor.
Yeah, I just don't want to use my time like that. I think it would be fun to make the videos, because then you're being creative.
And then you can get paid for ads on YouTube.
True. I just like doing it in like a more fun way. You know, like if it became, like if I was actually just responsible for somebody like taking in the information, then taking a test, I would kind of be like, fuck. And I would get way too stressed out about it.
But you could be used as a study guide for someone taking the same test. And maybe the way you explain it makes more sense than their fucking their chemistry teacher.
Yeah, sometimes.
Make it more digestible.
Well, yeah, sometimes there's, people that have that more technical mind. They kind of talk to you like you have one too, or like you already know the information. Like, I remember when I took organic chemistry, the teacher was a research assistant that was studying cancer. So when he was talking about anything with organic chem, which is a very hard class, he would just say it like you knew it. Like, it was, because that was like his alphabet to him.
Yeah.
And he was just like blowing through it, and you're like, what?
I've had professors like that.
Yeah.
You're a waste of my money.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know what the fuck you're saying.
Yeah, no, I get that. And they understand it so well that they don't know how to like relate to a non-educated person, because it can be learned. Like,
yeah.
Math. Everyone says math is super fucking hard, when really, if you have the foundational skills of math and it's explained to you by someone who's not good at math or was not, you can learn it. Like, obviously, I think there's like limiting factors with how much time you want to spend if you're not like naturally inclined to it. But I do think that people, if they put enough effort into math, they can go as high as they want with it.
Absolutely.
The amount of time that they'd have to spend to understand some of the stuff in like the very high, like abstract maths, might take them a little bit longer. Yeah, that
abstract math is that's a tough one to get around. But it's interesting to me. I think everything is interesting.
Yeah, no, it is. But yeah, your science channel would be good. I think it would be.
I appreciate that. Want to hear another story that I tell everybody to get them hooked on animal behavior?
Sure, why not? Considering I went to school for psychology, why not?
Oh, do you know who Alex the parrot is then?
No.
Damn. I literally tell everybody about Alex the parrot the moment I can. So there's like certain animal subjects that are just like, they're great. They're like the Magic Johnson of animal subjects. Yeah, they all had AIDS is what I'm saying. No. They're the Kobe Bryant. Like they're just phenomenal.
Helicopters?
Yes, they're always in helicopter. Like Flipper was in that horrible helicopter accident. You know what I'm saying?
Was he? Were they transferring him?
There's just these phenomenal.
Is he going for a signing?
Animal subjects like Michael Jackson or R. Kelly. Like they're just extremely talented. No, it's like you have these animals you're studying, and then all of a sudden out of the subjects, there's one that's just like, you're like, why the fuck are you like this? And Alex the parrot was one of them. He was this gray parrot. He could learn things so fast. Like they'd be like there to have a bunch of keys and dice or whatever, and they'd be like, get the purple key, and he'd like get it like that. Then he would start picking up on things that like they barely gave him a foundation for. Like he was just listening. He was just extremely intelligent. And he would get grouchy. Like if he wasn't getting fed or if he had a bad day or you didn't give him attention, he'd be like, get the green key. And he'd be like, no. And they'd be like, you're going to go back in your cage. And then he'd just run and grab the green key. Like he had like a personality and all this shit.
Okay.
But every night that the lady was putting him away, he had one handler for most of his life. He'd always say, I love you, be good, when she was putting him away. And he died at an early age, and his last words were, I love you, be good to the lady. And I'm like, that is the most heartbreaking thing
That's pretty cool.
I've ever heard, though.
This could be a movie.
Right? I think they should make a movie about Alex the parrot. I also love the old psychology studies that people in the 50s wanted to study chimps and see if they could talk. And they were like, well, if we raise it like a baby, one day it'll just start talking.
50 pounds and it rips your fucking arms off.
Until it starts flying helicopters. No,
And or the lady who was studying the dolphins and ended up lady who jerked it off.
What?
The lady who apparently some lady was living in a house that has like full of water and they were.
Oh, I saw that house. That was wild.
The dolphin to keep it calm or some bullshit.
I remember lightly hearing about this, but that's very, oh yeah, to make sure it was like good.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't how do you
creepy.
I want to know how you jerk off a dolphin.
Oh, I've seen what they do with killer whales and it's gross.
Is it to like extract sperm?
Yeah.
Like in the tanks? Or
the dick is out.
Yeah, no, I get that. The dick's out. Of course the dick's out. Or maybe the dick's in.
I think it's out of the water, though. I think the dick is out of the water.
Laying on its fucking back. Like,
They do they dig a hole?
Do they dig a hole for the fin? Or is it like
in my head, the dick is out?
Like, you know, a boat launch, like how they do like boat launches on lakes where you can like take your boat out of the water and you like drive up into it, or is it like that? And there's a crack in the middle.
It's a glory hole for dolphins. No, it's not
for
really.
A killer whale. Wait, you said for whales.
Yeah, I know. You know what I'm thinking of? Did you know that they think that the Loch Ness Monster pictures might have just been whale dicks? Because you ever seen when like whales or dolphins or any big sea creature? You've never seen their dick?
I have not. I've seen other animals' dicks, but I'm sure they're enormous.
They're huge, and they look exactly like the shape of like the Loch Ness Monster neck sticking out. And they do that. They fucking...
But the Loch Ness Monster's in a loch, which is a lake, which is, you know, the whole how does the whale get in the...
You know what? I didn't know that.
This is my story, so...
Yeah, I didn't know that. No, I didn't know that. What's a loch? A loch is a lake?
Yeah, that's a Lake Ness.
Do you want me to interview you about Scotland and how the fight was?
Sure, actually, yeah. Josh Taylor's amazing. He's undisputed at 140. Everyone should go follow him on Instagram and Twitter and blow him up and fucking make him more famous.
Wait, what's his name and his Instagram?
Josh Taylor. I think his Instagram is Josh Taylor 1 or Josh Taylor Champion. He's he's undisputed at 140. He has had all 5 belts. He vacated 1 because he's moving up, but. He's from Scotland, and he's an awesome dude. And I work
UFC?
Boxing.
Boxing, okay.
But, yeah, he's a cool guy.
Oh, and let's get to this. I have no smooth transition now. Right. You're talking about the Paul brothers and how, because don't people hate them?
Depends on who you talk to. I think the Paul brothers are interesting characters. I don't know about I think it's the older one who fought Anderson Silva and Floyd Mayweather, which is hilarious. Because Floyd's tiny.
Did they already fight?
Yeah, they did. Floyd already fought him, blah, blah, blah. But
wait, what do you mean in blah, blah, blah? You talk very fast when you know what you're talking about. You're doing the teacher thing, just so you know.
The teacher thing. I'm doing the bad grad student thing.
Gotcha.
The teacher actually would probably give a fuck.
That's true.
Because I had a professor who was just a researcher at my college, and he didn't give a fuck for the biology class, so fuck him, and that's why.
Yeah, you're doing bad grad student thing.
Okay, so Jake Paul, I believe, is the younger brother, and he's like 4-0 as a boxer, and everyone gives him shit, but he's also talking about fighter pay and fighter treatment, which it may be just publicity for him, but he's still bringing it up. Yeah. And he's bringing it to people's attention, which is good because a A lot of fighters are underpaid, especially with the UFC and how the contracts are structured. I don't know how the contracts are currently structured, so I haven't seen a contract in a while. But they're subcontractors, but they're under exclusive contract agreements with the UFC, which makes absolutely no fucking sense because they should be able to fight in the UFC, Bellator, like. MMA could pick up as a boxing model per se by having the UFC, Bellator, PFL, and one. So those would be like the four belts, like comparable to the four belts. And if you have one, you're that champion. If you have two, I think you'd be unified. And if you have two or three, I don't know how boxing does as far as the numbers. But then there's the undisputed, which means you're the champion on. It means you have all four belts.
Okay.
So like MMA could do that, but there's a weird, like they're subcontractors, but they can't go wherever the fuck they want. Like Bellator's a little bit better than that because like guys like kickbox and shit. But they like I think
So you said they're subcontractors, but they can't go where
1099, I believed.
Okay. And so when you say they can't go where they want, what do you mean by
Like,
that?
so you fight for the UFC. The UFC basically owns you.
Okay. So if Bellator offered me a fight, I can't take it.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like, unless you have like do one-offs, which why would the UFC do one-offs? It's not an investment into like their business,
Yeah.
but they should be treated like employees, like because that's what they're fucking like. If it was subcontractor, that means I can go work for any of the one I want,
Yeah.
whenever I want.
Yeah.
Like if that's how you're paid out and that's how like you're taxed, like under tax code, if you're a subcontractor, wouldn't you want to be able to like get work whoever without having
Absolutely.
fucking hassle? But that's not how it goes. But Jake Paul, back to that, he's bringing attention to fighter pay and things like that, and then he's also like he co-promoted with Matchroom Boxing, so Eddie Hearn, fucking Taylor, Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, for I believe that was the undisputed at I don't know the weight class. Sorry, ladies. Boxing has like a bazillion weight classes, but it was the biggest women's fight in boxing history. Katie Taylor's Irish and she's still undefeated, I believe, and Amanda Serrano, I believe, is Puerto Rican. Sorry if I'm wrong. 'Cause you probably want to be upset because I was wrong. And she is undefeated, and she's held belts in multiple weight classes. So like I guess you could say so, two of the best female boxers, and they co-promoted it. Tons of attention to that. They got paid really well, like they got paid comparable to men's boxing. So that was really good. Fighter pay. Jake Paul's also like a lot of people give him shit, which I think is funny for not taking tough fights. Like he's fighting him. I think he fought KSI, or his brother did, or who fought someone who's not very good. Couple people who weren't very good. Ben Askren, not a good boxer, really good wrestler. Not a good striker in MMA, really good wrestler, really good grappler.
Gotcha.
But everyone's like shitting on him for fighting those guys. But if you look at anybody's record, like if you pulled up Canelo's record, you could see like the first however many 10 fights are like against nobodies. Like,
Okay.
like they're building their fighter. They're building their skill set.
So sometimes they just fight nobodies to get a good record or to just, or to
Both.
get, oh, okay.
Like you want to like build your fight. Like they termed like amateur boxing and pro boxing are two different things. The rounds are different. Like amateur boxing is 3 3-minute rounds. Pro boxing is all the way up to 12. So you like build into 12 rounds.
Gotcha.
Like to become a champion, 12 round. Like Rolly's gonna fight a 12-round fight on Saturday. So you build into that. So your first part of your career early, you're not fighting like killers. Like,
Yeah.
you're not turning pro and fighting super good guys. Like they're building your career. So Jake Paul is doing what everyone else does. He's just using MMA guys who are super popular, I wouldn't say super popular, but are popular, former champions in a different sport that have striking, and he's bringing them in. They're getting paid. It's bringing publicity to himself.
Yep.
And he's making money, but he's not doing much different than what boxers do. Like they could take a journeyman boxer and give him to him too. Maybe he has like 10 wins and 50 losses. Like there's that in boxing. Like go on BoxRec. There's guys with fucking horrible records, and they'll fight every other weekend.
Gotcha.
Like they're there to help guys who will be champions build their fucking careers.
And the pay you're saying isn't, so you're saying he brings attention to the pay. That's something that, I mean, I knew nothing about until.
So if you're in the UFC, your first fight, and again, I haven't seen a contract in a very long time, I believe is 12-12.
What's that
So
mean?
12,000 and 12,000. So you have 12,000 to show up, basically $12,000 to make weight and $12,000 to win. MMA, this is all the way down to the regional level of the fucking strip club show. Get rid of show and win money. It should just be show money, so fighters don't have to be stressed out about winning or losing. They can just go out and fight, because then they can be secure in their finances. Even if it's $100 versus $50 and $50, they know they're getting $100, so they can spend $100 into their training, or $1,000, or let's just say they're guys who put everything into it. They can spend they can spend 10 grand on a fight camp if they have that kind of money, because they know they're going to get this much back regardless of win or loss. Like, it's a lot less stress about it. I think they should get rid of that. Boxing doesn't have show and win money. It's such a stupid fucking thing. I don't know the history of it, but it should go away, because that would help fix things. Even if you're getting paid less than let's say it's 12 and 12, so if you win it's $24,000. Like, why don't you? I'd rather get less money and know what I'm getting than get more money and not know what it potentially get.
Yeah.
More money. Like, the risk of getting more money. Like, what the fuck? Who gives a shit?
So boxing does not have that, and you're saying that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, boxing.
Yeah.
Is a flat fee. Like, you show up, you get.
That is so nice. And 12 and 12 is crazy, because you have what, like one fight a year, or
No, so
maybe
UFC, like, under contract says they'll offer you 3 fights a year, but you also have the option to turn them down. So if they offer you 3 fights, you say no. That's 3 fights. Like, they did their obligation.
Gotcha.
Like,
so you could potentially only make like $36,000.
technically, yeah. I mean, yeah, if you lost it, but if you lose all 3 fights in a year,
You're not coming back.
not in the UFC anymore.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Unless you're fucking just like you barn burner fights where every single one of those fights was like fight of the night, where you're just like entertaining people with fighting. But that's what it is the UFC. This is my opinion. The UFC is an entertainment company that does fighting.
Gotcha.
Bellator is a fight promotion, and they are less popular because they're like a fight promotion, not an entertainment group that also does fighting. Like, the UFC is owned by WME, and WME is an entertainment group.
Gotcha. Is there any insurance involved? Like, if you get hurt during the fight?
I believe the UFC does have insurance for their athletes. On what level, I don't know, so I don't want to like talk about that.
Gotcha. I
Like,
understand.
that's like, I don't want to talk about
Like misspeak, yeah.
But yeah, like, most promoters are obligated to have some type of insurance. So if you break your leg in a fight, they're supposed to take care of it up to a certain point.
Gotcha.
So you do have, but like most guys, because you're subcontracted, you don't have insurance. But I believe the UFC over the last 5 years have like really like improved things for the fighters as far as what they do. But why don't you just make it a fucking league like the NFL and pay them more?
Gotcha. Yeah. Have you seen a difference in, so, some people come from money, and then they can spend so much for like a training camp, and they don't have that same added stress as somebody who grew up like with nothing and has to pay for their own training and their own nutrition. Do you see a difference in like the fight level in those two people?
It depends. Like, you mean like the desire to fight, or like the skill set?
The skill set.
That maybe not. Like, depends on the person, because like, if you have nothing and this is your way to get something, you're going to work a lot harder than someone who has something and this is just something they enjoy doing. But everyone has their own motives to do things, and why. But like no, I'm not going to bring him up, because I know yeah, it just depends on the person. Like, everyone, like, I don't know, people look at fighters, they're like, oh, they're like come from some horrible background and shit. And some of these people, like, it's not ideal, but it's not horrible.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But yeah, I think it comes down to desire, because you could be a completely like middle class kid and be a fucking world champion. Like, from what it looks like, GSP probably didn't have a ton of money growing up. Like, the way he talks about it, but like, he has 2 parents and they're married, and it sounds like his home life is fairly stable, and like, good home, and he went to school. I think he said he was picked on because he was little. Like, there's a reason to fight and like get into that. Then martial arts, then it flips into the UFC or MMA. So it's like just like it really comes down to the person, because you can like achieve, like, even if you're a rich kid, you can still achieve excellence in anything. Like, that's one.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Like, who are your parents might actually matter more than like, or who I wouldn't say parents, because not every, like, the whole parents thing. Whoever is your keeper.
Gotcha. Like your like family structure
Yeah.
kind of situation.
If they have like discipline, you can carry discipline into anything. You'd probably be fine fighting if you want to get hit in the face for money and you don't care that you're not getting paid a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting, because I think that kind of transcends everything. Because I think about like in comedy too. Like there's some people that came from a good background. There's some people that like have money and they are very funny because they work hard.
Yeah.
And they, you know, do well for themselves. And it's just like they care about the craft and they care about like they're just passionate people. And then there's some people that came from shit and they're fucking hilarious because they were driven by that. But then there's some people that have a lot of money and they're just comfortable because they're like, oh, I don't need this. So
Like,
I don't need to be good at it.
the thoughts of the thing. What about this? So, do people who come from nothing and people who with money, I guess you could say, are comfortable or come from comfort, do they have different perspectives than comedy? Like, are their jokes different?
Yeah.
Like,
For the most part,
funnier?
To me, so that's a rough question because to me, like I think somebody who is, I'm trying to think of anybody who like I know had a really hard story that I'm like, oh, they're my favorite because most of the time they don't really talk about it on stage. I'm trying to think of, can you think of somebody?
Nope. I mean, Joey Diaz probably wasn't that hard, but he's hilarious.
He's fucking hilarious. Yeah. And it's like somebody like, you know, I think Andrew Schultz is hilarious, but he grew up in New York City. He grew up like very doing well. I don't know how well, you know, I don't know him personally.
He was probably homeless.
But it's just, you know, there's certain people that are doing well and they're just funny. It's, yeah, because I would have to think of like their whole background story and if there's like a documentary on somebody. But there are, when I think of it at the level of like it's like I think about it at the level now where it's like I have some people where it's like they're living with roommates and they're like they're working a delivery job and they like that's tough for them, or there's people that are working professional jobs. But I actually see some people that are working professional jobs that are taking comedy more seriously than the ones that are like, I'm doing a delivery job to like do comedy.
Talking about herself, everyone.
No, I'm really not. I'm really not. Yeah, it's weird. I think it's one of those things that I'm like, I wonder if you could find that on like a gene, or if like you could, you know, that work ethic.
Technically, they probably could because they found like the psychopath gene, like like it's a short book there. Like they scanned a bunch of like death row inmates' brains.
Yeah.
Like MRI shit, and they saw consistencies.
Yeah, because I know there's a lot of psychopaths and sociopaths, they don't have mirror neurons, which are like, have you heard of a mirror neuron? Yeah, so they don't have like, and just to explain to other people, like if I'm raising my hand, the same neuron that's firing to raise my hand in your brain is going off right now. And people that are sociopaths and most killers, it wouldn't fire. So it's a lack of like empathy and like literal physical, like do not have the same comprehension.
Like electricity's not going out there.
Yeah.
Because we're, you know, like the electricity, it's like it's not hooked up.
Yeah, it's just not having that same empathy for someone.
So the book that I read about the Psychopath Gene, I wish I fucking remembered who wrote it, but he talks about because he scanned himself and he had the same, like the imaging was the same as everyone else's.
As the psychos?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
So yeah, and I read this book a long time ago, but but his like interpretation of that is if you have that, it's like you can go one way or the other. It's like,
yeah, sometimes something environmental has to turn it on.
Like, basically, or even if it doesn't, like, is your environment like nurturing, I guess you could say, versus like deviance.
Yeah.
Like I would say not everything's like negative, like basically you'd say antisocial if you were gonna get very technical about it. But more of an antisocial, and this is a very clinical term that we're using if you want to look up the definition, tendencies versus someone who's like wants to, like they're very like this, they don't feel emotion, maybe they can focus better on whatever they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like excel academically or whatever because they're like, this is it.
Yeah, like that's it. They only see like black and white. Like
they have a great mom and dad and everything else. So like that type of lack of feeling allows them to pursue something, but it's not negative.
Yeah, but they just don't work the same as like.
Yeah, they just think a little bit differently. And like that guy, he was I think he was a clinical psychologist. I wish I remember his fucking name, but he had the same.
That's interesting.
And
that would freak me out. I remember the people that found like that mapped out the human genome. I think there's 3 of them, but when they mapped it out, one of the researchers that got it done, like the only thing he didn't want to know was if he had the Alzheimer's gene. Like he was like, I just don't want to know.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to know either.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of want to know, but I don't really want to know. I'm just going to say based off my genetics, I don't have it.
Yeah.
Based off,
You're like, based off of what
based
I've
off
seen,
the grandparents that are still alive.
you're good.
Yeah, I'm good.
That's good.
Went out with something else, cancer, brain tumors.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, even with genes, like the whole study of epigenetics of things turning on and turning off.
Environmental stuff.
Yeah, and it can be environmental, but it can also be enhanced by other things. That's why, you know, when you're starting to look at mRNA and you're changing something or you're doing any sort of gene therapy, the issue is down the road, if you're like, okay, I turn this off now, you don't know yet
What's going to happen
down the road what's going to happen. Yeah, and there's even... Yeah, it's interesting. And that's why most people technically are lactose intolerant because that gene shuts off at a very young age, but sometimes you can bypass that. But when you're born and when you're very young, you're able to digest, everybody's supposedly able to digest lactose. And then it turns off at a young age.
Producing like the enzymes to break it down in your stomach.
Whatever controls that and that
like
gene, yeah, they're
just like no more enzymes.
And yeah, just no more, like you're not able to do it. Yeah.
Pretend the body's Osmosis Jones.
Okay.
Have you seen the movie?
Not in like a very long time.
Like people, and it's like it's
yeah.
factory, like no more.
Yeah, just like shut that off. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, so it's interesting with even like with these, you know, learning about like cancer research and all that stuff. Like you can turn off something that could cause cell proliferation down the road, but you just don't know. Say you found that, you mapped it out at age 7, you turned it off. You just don't know like ages like 10 to 11. You're like, what else was coded on that gene?
So since you know more about genes and shit than I do, so you can like, are we at a point where you can like pick eye color and shit?
Yeah, they've had that for a while.
Like I said, I don't know. Like I know some, but not.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's using it in practice, but I mean, you can isolate that, and you could most likely like designer babies.
Yeah, basically designer babies. So with that, if that's my phone, I gotta check it.
Yeah, because I don't know. You gotta head out here like 8:40.
I gotta head out here pretty close.
Yeah.
8:40. But is it what was I saying?
Designer babies?
Yeah, designer babies. So if you're like changing your kid's eye color or their hair color or their skin tone, or like you get knocked up by a black dude by accident and you're like, fuck, my husband's white.
Oh, I'm not sure if you could change something at that level. I'm just
being ridiculous.
Yeah, but
would changing like eye color, hair color, and shit, would that affect? Do you think that would affect like other things, like systemically change things, like down the road?
I would.
Like you're saying,
yeah, down the road. I'm not sure. So somebody, I would think, well, lighter eye color. That's all in one gene. That's easily isolated. But I don't know if down the road if that would be like a different person than say you just had the baby that was going to have brown eyes. But you would pick beforehand. So it's like how they pick male or female. One weighs more than the other. So they put it through a centrifuge. Typically, they know the sperm that are going to be female. I'm not sure heavier or if male are, but there's a difference in weight before it's even entered.
Start this fucking YouTube channel. This is you explain it so well. Like,
thank you.
I'm like I'm like, oh, that definitely, like, my kid gets older, my YouTube channel has millions of views, and he's like a year old, so you got about 5 months.
Yeah, yeah.
To get it going, I can turn it on, and you can learn about science.
Yeah, yeah. I can just be on the TV.
Then you get paid for ads.
Yeah, I know. That would be... It's just a matter of time and money like everything else. I just need my feet under me, and then I want to do it. Like, I just need a stable home. You know, it's...
Lex Friedman, she needs a stable home.
Lex Friedman, I need a stable home. I'll cut up your fruit. I heard that he eats a lot of fruit when he's sad. I'll cut your fruit, babe. Like... I'll just cut your fruit and kiss you on the forehead. It'll be fine. Yeah, I'll give you one more before we go. I'll give you one more quick little science fact because you got to get out of here soon and you have Rolly's fight tomorrow. This is so funny. The gene for black and white on cows is the same. I might have told you this when I was high before.
Nope.
I think it's another one of those animal facts I throw out whenever I can.
Let's hear it.
The gene that codes for black and white, large black spots on a white background, is also what makes the animal is more docile, is on the same gene. So that's usually why people use that breed of cow, that's the white with the big black spot, is because they're easily managed. And that's why dogs typically like the big spaniels, that kind of thing, that gene coding for that for some reason it also affects behavior and makes them more docile.
That's fucking fascinating. I've milked cows before.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you're from Wisconsin.
Like as a middle schooler, I'd milk cows for a job. And now I wish I could go back and look at all of the cows and like
You'd pick out their personalities.
well, no, like because like some were way more aggressive than other ones, like way more aggressive.
Yeah.
Like not fun to milk.
Yeah.
Like you need two guys.
Really?
Yeah, because like you'd put a thing called a kicker on them. Basically, it'd like clamp around their.
What does that do?
It clamp around their waist so they couldn't kick you.
That yeah, I
Lift their
figured.
leg. So imagine being on all fours and having a steel waistband
No.
that goes in front of your legs.
No, I'm sure there's some people down Wall Street that have that in their bedroom, but
Hopefully.
like,
But and then they had docked tails.
like clip.
Yeah, they're short. And if you lift their tail, they can't kick.
Oh shit!
So you put the kicker on them.
Get closer to your mic. Now that we're at the very end of the podcast.
You'd put the kicker on them, and then you'd have one cow, $4.99. I'll never forget this cow.
Really?
Yeah. And then you have another guy hold the tail up, because then it couldn't kick you while you put the milker on it.
Oh
And then it
shit!
couldn't kick the milker off.
Did you grow up on a farm, or were you just
I
at the farm?
worked on a farm for 2.5 years, like 4 days a week, twice a day sometimes.
That was like just like the first entry level job.
No, I delivered newspapers. And
Yeah.
before that,
Like
I picked-
young men's jobs in
I started
Wisconsin.
working when I was like, it's probably like 7.
Shit. That's why everybody out in that part of the country is just like,
Not everyone works when they're 7 years old.
yes, everybody in Wisconsin works when they're 7. No, I mean, that's why everybody in that part of the country just seems like farm strong.
Yeah, I mean,
Like-
there's a lot of farmers, but wrestling too.
Yeah.
And like being cold indoors all the time. What else you can do besides lift weights?
Oof. Okay, let's drop what you're doing tomorrow. I love how up and down this whole conversation has
It'll be a
gone.
good one.
You were very tight at the beginning. You seemed nervous about
I
the
don't
studio.
like podcasts.
Yeah, I noticed at the beginning.
I think they're strange.
They are strange. You're just like incentivizing conversation.
Yep, pretty much. I hope you get a lot of likes. Do you put this on YouTube? Gina Hyena's science page, everyone.
Yeah. Do you know how you know science page is just what it's going to be called?
Oh, you can call
I don't know. That works.
Yeah, that's perfect.
.edu. Gina Hyena's science page. .edu.
She's gonna open up a not a university, a
Universe.
no, a universe. She's gonna open up a school for the gifted in Austin, Texas.
It'll just be me and Lex's kids.
Pretty much.
I also love how creepy that has now come off.
Just that if you were a dude, it would be super creepy.
Oh, I thought you meant like if I was in his shoes, I'd be super creeped out. And I was like, that didn't help my feelings at all. That wasn't comforting whatsoever.
If you're looked like a cave troll, it might be.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately,
That's how it goes.
Looks can get you out of so
That's
much.
how it goes.
Ask Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, like literally, like how that guy was a pay pig from Kill Tony. If he was hot, I wouldn't have been creeped out by it. But
Probably, he could have been like 45 with fucking testosterone running through his veins.
oh no, I saw what he looked like, and he just wasn't attractive. That's why I was like, you're annoying.
Attractive in the face or just like
The whole thing.
nice.
Sick.
Hey pig. That's a great term.
Paid pig and slam pig. You throw a pig at the end of anything.
That's slam pig.
Slam pig's a good one.
I read through 5 pages of those definitions.
On Urban Dictionary.
Yes. You can be a dude and you can be a slam pig.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can be a chick and you can be a slam.
That's usually how I've used it.
But if you're a dude, you just fuck nasty fat chicks. Like
Yeah.
you're not maybe you're a gay fat guy who gets fucked.
Yeah.
Gonna edit this out of the podcast.
No.
Good.
Good. Okay, so you were at Slam Pig IG. You can find me on
Slam
Instagram.
Pig 1 on Instagram. 1. No backspaces, no underscores. Slam Pig 1.
I was the first. You jumped right on it and got that name.
It is going to be an Instagram page dedicated to cute piglets.
Yeah, right? It's just piglets playing basketball.
Weird ass fucking shit.
God, okay, so do your socials and where to find
My
you.
socials, John Poppie. It's just my name, spelled Poppie, not like the flower, and not like the Mexican Poppy.
Yeah.
I'm not, anyway, I am a father, but I'm not your father. Unless your name's Luke or Princess Leia.
Or your son's name.
Or my son's name.
Yeah.
And prep and perform. It's just a bunch of foods. If you like looking at food on Instagram, if you need
Word.
help cutting weight, nutrition, I guess you could say fitness, but I don't want to throw that out there. I know a little bit about that. Or just anything in general. If you want someone to abuse you to go pursue your goals, I will abuse you as a friend.
Yeah, you're good at that.
To pursue your goals because, like...
I think you've called me a pussy, like, more than anybody in my life, which is a
just
good
go
thing.
Fucking do it. Like,
yeah.
Like, this is the thing. Like, fighting... I learned the one thing from fighting is you only can do things, like, with your body. Well, most of, like fighting... while you're in your youth. Like, there's guys who are in their 40s who are still fighting. You'll have Romero, Glover, are two examples of that, but they started when they were young, so they built the skills up and they learned how to fight. Like, they use their brains, Bernard Hopkins and stuff, but, like, let's just say you're not that. When you're 35 and your body doesn't work that well anymore, or you just never did anything, you're just a fat fuck because you're just lazy, and then you look back, you're like, oh, like, you could have done something with yourself, or you thought about it. You can work forever. Like, you can make money any way you fucking want. Mm-hmm. But using your body for what you want while you're young or your time, you can, like, literally make money until you die. Like, any way you want. Like,
nice.
So just do what you're going to do. And if it doesn't work out, you can go become a realtor or sell pharmaceutical bullshit. Not that it's a bad thing for either of those, but in reality, like, if you fail, who cares?
Yeah.
If you fail and you know that, hey, it didn't work out, like, if you're like Adolf Hitler and you're like, I'm not an artist, you can go become a leader of the world.
Yeah, you can just start
a country.
Yeah, or start a cult. Get some people to drink some Kool-Aid.
I don't think he was an artist.
No, I'm saying if something else fails, there's so many other avenues to go down.
Like, you can make money different ways when you're older if your dreams and aspirations and goals don't work out.
See, it's funny because I have an opposite. I just am like, I don't even think about the dreams or goals not working out.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, if you enter with that mentality, they might not work out.
Yep.
But, like, you'll know that you actually put the fucking effort into it. But, like, I don't know. Brain just again.
But yeah, so you're a good advocate / coach, mentor type.
I'm not actually. I'm mean as fuck.
Yeah, you're a bully, which is good at it if somebody responds to that.
Well, it's not.
You're also very skeptical and argumentative.
I'm just like, the whole "you only have one life" bullshit, which is such a gay thing to say, but it's true.
Did you just say YOLO?
Yeah, YOLO, bro. YOLO, fam.
All right, let's close this out because you're late.
Yeah, I gotta bounce.
Alrighty. All right, so
prep and reform, blah blah blah.
John Poppie,
weight cuts. Gina Hyena science page will be coming in the next 30 days.
Thank you, no pressure.
30 days, first episode, 5 minutes.
No, I need an apartment and a life first. I also know how to set boundaries. I just got over migraines. Yes, 30 days. We got it.
Literally 5 minutes.
Yes, got it.
Just taught, like, what you explained to me about the hands.
Okay,
That's
fine.
Start.
Fine, okay. I'll do chirality.
And then the parrot thing.
Yes.
Then the whale dick.
Fine.
It's 5 minutes.
Whale dick video coming in 30 days, you guys.
it's gonna be filtered.
Hey,
filtered
it's filtered whale dicks.
Or she's just gonna screenshot black fucking porn and black out the
Don't give it away.
black and white it.
Don't give it away. It's coming in 30 days. All right, you guys. This has been Gina Got Friends. I'm Gina Hyena.
Also
That's John Poppie.
John show now.
Yes, now it's the Gina and John show. We just need to get this first one out of the way so people knew who you were and what you do. Anyways, all right. This has been Gina Got Friends. What we say at the end of every episode is everybody eats. Everybody eats, bitch.
Everybody eats, bitch.
Word.